see each other yesterday, which was fun.
That's true. We were downtown in Indianapolis, and there were like two demonstrations or two marches going on, right?
No, it was a women's march, and I think the Bitches Get Stuff Done group were going to do a march also, and then realized the women's march was there, so we combined it.
And I'm gonna guess, would I be accurate in saying there are about 150 people there?
I thought there were over 200 because you didn't say for the march. So when we did the march, people were coming into the march as we did it, and we went around the state house and then back and around the monument, and it was really cool, kind of cool, because as the beginning groups, because we had to follow street signs and stuff, we were getting split up. But as the beginning groups were coming back up onto the big steps, like we just had a whole line of marchers still coming around the monument. So it was a lot of people. I thought it was a good turnout for how cold it was.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that again. It was cold.
It was so cold. Yeah.
It was really, really cold, and I had my heavy jacket on, and it still didn't matter because it was still incredibly cold.
Yeah. But you can check that out. I posted a video of that. There were some really great signs that people had. It was really good energy. It was good to be out and moving and doing something that we might not be able to do soon. Right?
Well, yeah, because of what's tomorrow. But before we went on here just a few minutes ago, I pointed out that across the street from the War Memorial was on the, I think it's the northwest quadrant of Monument Circle. And for people who don't realize that, Indianapolis has downtown, it's the Circle City. There's a war monument that is the Circle. And it's just a little bit north of Washington Street. And so like on the northwest quadrant of the Circle was the Kresge building in the early 1920s. And that was a building in which D.C. Stevenson, who was head of the Indiana Klan, Ku Klux Klan, had his offices. And that was 100 years ago. And just to realize some of the parallels that are going on right now, because we have, I mean, look at our own local thing, local, statewide. I mean, we have, a person that's near and dear to so many people's hearts. That would be Beckwith. And that's kind of like, he's kind of like, if you're walking down the street in a neighborhood where people have a lot of dogs and you step in, you just can't get that off your shoe. I mean, and it's, I'm kind of characterizing him as that, as fecal matter, but that is somewhat disconcerting.
Yeah, he is. Like I said, I just think that people need to remember that those little connections to Hillsdale, Michigan, where Heritage Foundation is. We are not going to be dealing with Mr. Braun. We'll be dealing with Mr. Beckwith. So that's going to be this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yes,
particularly to see how he tries to play pastor when and if all of these really bad things are going, he's going to try to enact or be a part of and still play pastor with it. It's just quite hilarious to me at this point.
And I point out to people that like Beckwith did an end run on the voters. He went to the Republican convention. He recruited people to be delegates there to vote for him as lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor is not on the ticket for the primary. It's the governor that is. And I point out to people that I got 1,057 votes in the 2020 Republican congressional 5th district primary here in Indianapolis. And so, I've had several people go, well, Samantha Beckwith got about 10,000. Yes, I'm not talking about the primary. I'm talking about I got 1,057 votes in the primary, and that was about almost 300 votes more than he got in that convention. My point being that with that few a number of votes, he still is number 2 on the ticket, lieutenant governor. He's now lieutenant governor of the state. And if anything happens to Braun, who is like the governor right now, he's real. Anyways, that means that Beckwith will take office without ever having gotten more than 1,000 votes. And that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that, I mean, that's where we're at. I just hope that people remember that, um, that our voices are power, and that exactly what they want us to be quiet, to scare us, to shut us down, to make sure that we feel like our rights or, lives or whatever are in jeopardy should we use our voice. And it's going to be more important now than ever to do that, because the more people that cave to that idea of now we're going to be quieter and we're going to kind of acquiesce, then, where will we be in 4 years or 8 years with that kind of attitude? So,
Well, and that's something that I think people don't understand about what's going on here. And I keep talking about numbers, but if you go back to uh, about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, on a local podcast, a person that was a guest was the guy that started the Red Pill Convention. And he said then, we get 15 to 18% of the vote, we'll take it, meaning our system. And they have no intention of giving up power once they've gotten it. And that's an important thing to understand about why it is. But the more information is getting out now about inconsistencies in the voting that occurred on November 5th, because that was really a surprise to a lot of people. It shouldn't be, because they've had a couple of years to hone their methods from what they did in 2016. But also, Trump shouldn't be allowed to take the oath of office. He's disqualified under the 14th Amendment, 14, Section 3. And he's also said he's going to terminate the Constitution. He's going to take an oath to support, protect, and defend a document that he's already said he's going to terminate.
right.
That should disqualify him. And he's not going to give up office. They tried to overthrow the government in 2020 or 2021 was January 6th to get to maintain that office, I guess, for whoever the hell thought that was appropriate. He's not going to give it up this time.
I think also, though, we should redirect back to the idea that Trump is fading out as this puppet of this movement. Like, he is not going to be who, um, and I truly think that even if he goes on some weird pathological shit and tries something just out of spite, that there are enough billionaires and people around him now that he is fully locked down and controlled. That's my feeling. I don't think that he's going to be able to wield his own personal unless they agree with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think it matters, because they'll let him go out there and jump around and yell at people all that he wants. But once he's taken that oath, then the next person in line is JD Vance. And I'm
Right.
sorry, people can control Trump. They dominate Vance.
Yeah.
He doesn't scratch his ass or fart unless he consults with whoever the billionaire was who put him into office. And that's another thing. If
Right.
people have any doubts about it, those billionaires that are left of center are billionaires.
And the thing is that they are, yeah, like they are doing just with Micah. Micah doesn't have original thought. You can find Micah's same kind of lingo across lots of different places and pockets of hot Christian nationalism, bigotry across the country. It's all the same stuff. And so same thing. I guess what you're saying is it's almost worse because JD will just do whatever. And Trump at least is going to have some kind of pushback if he personally in his little like crybaby heart has a problem. He will make noise, but JD, you're right, will just lick the boot and continue. Similar to Micah. That's exactly how I see Micah. Like they do not have original thought. Now I think JD is much more intelligent than Micah. Micah truly does, like, I don't know how he graduated college, Micah, honestly, and wrote papers.
Well, he's basically a walking brainstem is about all.
And also I found out that he doesn't have his pastor's license. Oh my gosh. And he just hired on, like, I mean, I think this summer I found out recently another Beckwith brother to the church. So now there's a Beckwith, there's Micah, and then there's another one that Micah, his other brother, DJ that he just hired to be his associate pastor there. And then Daniel's in like the Pendleton church, or more like the online pastor. It is a family affair, folks. He is moving all his brothers to come in.
We're going to end this segment. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes, although it'll seem like however long. Don't go away.
All right. Bye, Mark.